According to the International Software Testing Qualifications Board, testing is a method for evaluating software, ensuring quality control, and preventing operational failures. Effective testing could reduce unwanted costs related to customer service and patches after the software is released. Testing requires careful planning, analysis, design, implementation, reporting, and evaluation of a test object, which should be undertaken by team members with specific roles to ensure accountability. Testing focuses on the verification of specified requirements and validation, which means ensuring that a system is completed to the expected standards and provides the expected functionality for stakeholders in its intended operational environment. There are two main categories of testing: static and dynamic. Static testing involves processes such as inspecting source code, documentation, requirement specifications, and does not require the execution of the source code. Dynamic testing involves the execution of the item being tested. The most used types of dynamic testing are unit testing, system testing, integration testing, performance testing, structural testing, acceptance testing, and security testing. Typical objectives. Depending on circumstances such as the type of test object, development approach, and stage of the development life cycle, common objectives could include to identify and prevent defects and failures, to verify all requirements have been met, to verify that the test object is completed and works as expected for users, to build confidence in the level of quality of the test object, to ensure the required level of software quality, to facilitate informed decision-making by stakeholders regarding the test object quality, and to comply with contractual, legal, or regulatory obligations. Testing versus debugging. The difference between testing and debugging is that testing is the process of identifying failures brought about by defects. Debugging is the process of fixing the defects identified by testing. Usually, testing is carried out by a tester and debugging is carried out by the developer. However, depending on the structure of an organization and the development approach, both functions of testing and debugging could be enacted by the same individual. Seven testing principles. Exhaustive testing is impossible. Early testing saves time and money. Defects cluster together. Testing is context dependent. Absence of errors is a fallacy. Testing shows the presence of defects, not their absence, and to beware of the pesticide paradox.
Hello, my name is Matthew Driver, and my portion of this presentation will be talking about why testing is necessary in software development. The main purpose of testing is to make sure that the software you're making is of a good enough quality to give to a client. The quality of the software can be improved in many ways. One of the main ways is to test the software and to look out for any defects or bugs. Once any defects have been found and diagnosed, you can then work towards fixing them and improving the quality of the software. And the best way to find these defects is through testing. Without testing to ensure software quality, you are greatly increasing the risk that you will release something that is full of bugs and defects and errors. Having a good quality of software is one thing, but it doesn't mean much if the experience of using the software for the user is unnecessarily complicated and confusing. This can be helped through the use of usability testing. Usability testing can be used to test for any moments when using the software where it may be unclear what the user is supposed to do next. This can then be helped by the developer making something like a system pop-up message to help the user out. However, what the developer decides to do should mostly depend on what the usability test results are and how bad they are. Without testing to ensure user experience, you are greatly increasing the risk that the people who are intended to use your software won't have a clue what they're supposed to do and will go to find another software that does the same job as yours but does it better. Each software has an intended purpose, defined by its software requirements. These are usually provided by the client at the beginning of the project and might change as the project carries on. Testing is important in this respect for a variety of reasons. Testing can be used to validate the list of requirements to check if the requirements are being programmed correctly in the software development process. Testing can also be used to check which requirements have been complete to the degree that the client asked them for, and which requirements still need to be started on or worked on. Without testing to ensure the requirements are being met, then when it comes to delivering the product, the software itself could be perfect, but if it isn't what the client asked for, then it's still basically useless. Testing is also very good for reducing any risks that a software might have. One of the biggest risks is having the system break and become completely unusable. There are a few number of ways that this could end up happening, and it's the job of the testing stage to reduce the probability of any of these things happening. One of the biggest ways that this could happen is if a hacker decided to try and infiltrate your system. With the use of penetration testing, this risk can be reduced. Penetration testing can be used to scope the software for vulnerability points or points of easy exploitation. Once these points have been found by a developer, they can then work on massively reducing the risk of this problem ever becoming a reality. Testing can also be used to reduce risks by finding and fixing failure conditions in the system. This also sort of links back to the slide about user experience, because more bugs means more annoyance for the user. Without testing to ensure that risks are kept to a minimum, then when the software gets released, it may look fine, but it will likely have a high chance to easily get hacked or break. The main reason testing is so essential is to help increase the quality, usability, and reliability of any software, and is crucial for any development lifecycle. Without testing, a lot of software would get released carelessly, and most of it, if not all of it, wouldn't be very good.
Welcome to Foundations of Testing. My name is Vincent. This is my section. There are a lot of questions when it comes to testing, such as, what is software testing? Why is it important? What types of testing are there? But in this presentation, I will be covering the testing process. Testing is a crucial aspect of software development that helps ensure that software products meet their intended requirements and function correctly. We do this to identify defects, errors, and bugs. Testing can be done manually or using automated tools, and it can be carried out at different stages of the software development lifecycle. Manual and automated. Both automated and manual testings have their strengths and weaknesses, and the choice of testing approach depends on various factors, including the type of software being developed, the testing objectives, and the available resources. Automated testing can be more cost-effective than manual testing over the long run, because once the scripts and programs are developed, they can be reused multiple times. On the other hand, manual testing is generally more flexible because it allows software testers to explore the software and identify unexpected issues. Automated testing is more rigid and requires well-defined test case scenarios. Another factor that goes into the decision is the types of testing. Unit testing. This is the testing of individual software components, such as functions or methods. Integration testing is the testing of the interactions between different software components. System testing is where the whole system is tested as a whole to ensure it works correctly. Acceptance testing is the testing of the software system by users or stakeholders to ensure that it meets their needs and expectations. Regression testing. This is the testing of software after changes have been made to ensure that previously working functionality has not been impacted. Performance testing. This is to evaluate the speed, scalability, and stability under various conditions. And security testing. This is the testing of software to identify potential security vulnerabilities and ensure that the system is secure. The testing process. Test planning. This involves defining the testing objectives, developing a test strategy, and identifying the testing resources needed. Stage 2. The design stage. This involves developing test cases and test case scenarios based on the objectives and requirements. Stage 3. Execution. This is when the tests are run and the results are recorded, including any defects or bugs that are identified. Stage 4. Documenting. This is where the test results are documented and feedback is provided to the development team. Fifth stage, less formal, but this involves evaluating the test results, identifying any open issues, and determining whether the testing objectives have been met. The testing process is an essential component of software development. It helps ensure the quality and reliability and involves a systematic approach, which encompasses various activities. Each one of these activities plays a critical role in ensuring that software products meet their intended requirements and function correctly. By following a structured testing process, software developers can reduce the risk of costly issues, improve the user experience, and increase the overall quality of their software products.
Hello, my name is Lewis Simons, and today we'll be looking at the psychology of testing within the foundation of testing. Looking at the psychology of testing, we'll look at 3 points within it. The mindset of the developers and testers, communication in a constructive manner, and test independence. The testing process involves human beings, so the effect of the psychology in testing is important and can influence the product overall quality. Firstly, let's look at the mindset of the testers and developers and how this can influence success. The testers and developers need to work together cohesively and work towards a final goal of a high quality product. To do this, you'll need to have people that have different skills and mindsets to get the job done. Within this environment of people, there's going to be feedback on the quality of work that's been done, so an open-minded approach to feedback is required. When giving feedback to someone, best to keep it clear and concise so it may not get misinterpreted. On the point of feedback, keeping it clear and make sure it's about the work so it doesn't get personal, because the team has to work together to achieve the same goal, so keep it about the objectives and what work was being presented. How the tester and developer achieve this goal is slightly different. With the tester keen on how they can break the system, but a developer is wondering how they can create it. Secondly, we'll look at the constructive communication, which ties in nicely to the mindset of both the tester and the developer. Constant communication throughout the software lifecycle is important to enable teams to produce a high-quality product. When finding errors and defects within code, report these issues in a courteous way to avoid any conflict and keep the objectives in mind when reporting this. The team needs to have a strong and reliable relationship, so using tact when approaching feedback when it's not necessarily what the developer wants to hear is a good approach to keeping people happy, as this could be something that they're quite fond of, and you could be telling them that it's not what they want to hear. Just simply ensuring that what is fed back is about the work presented and what needs to be done to improve it in order for it to pass. That's just the aim of the game. Overall, you want to be working towards the same solution of getting a high quality product out of the door, so together with development and testing this can be achieved if communicated well. By approaching communication with this in mind, you'll be able to reduce conflict. The final point we'll look at is the test independence. It's very important within software testing. It's to ensure that the tests carried out and how they're approached independently without any preconceived notions or assumptions about the product being tested. This can include bias depending on the tester's involvement of the development stages, as shown by the diagram on the right, of the involvement starting with the developer being directly involved with the tests, and then right at the bottom to the testing team being outsourced to either contractors or other organizations that will then test the product. Testing independently by removing some of the previous points will lead to the test finding more defects and failures. This can improve the test accuracy. Overall, if you improve the test accuracy and testing performance, therefore a better product will be produced at the end. So to cover the sections of the psychology of testing, we've got some revision questions. So there's 3 questions. So the first one is the mindset of developers and testers is important in software testing. Why is that? And then how to ensure test feedback is well received by the developer, and why is test independence important? So the answers to the revision questions are for question 1. Testers and developers need to work together cohesively to ensure that the product produced is of high quality. Question 2. Use tact when communicating bad news, only state the facts and don't make it personal. And for question 3, avoiding bias and producing a better quality product. So to summarize the psychology of testing is to enable smooth testing processes, ensuring that throughout the process of testing, the objectives are communicated and understood, leading to the software that is of high quality. This is done by focusing on the mindset of both the developer and the tester, the communication, and then finally how the test independence is approached. The goal for any product in development is to produce something that's of high quality that adheres to the requirements outlined. This is a complex area and requires the understanding of psychological factors that impact this. I hope this section helped your understanding. Thank you for listening to my section of the presentation.